Hello once again everybody at Vintage Iron Range Dirt Track Racing. I am joined today by Loran Tardy from Buck Lake. Loran, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Loran, how did you get interested in racing?
Well, my dad took me for many years and just liked it. It was noisy and crashing, and my Uncle Clifford Littler from Babbitt was racing at that time, Old Plymouth. And so we go watch him, and then I got interested in watching.
So it's from just being at the track with your parents.
Correct.
Gave you the racing bug. When you were young watching the races, who were some of the racers that you looked up to?
Well, you got Bob Doherty, you got Billy Nelson, you got Don Oz, you got just all the old guys that, you know, they always ran good.
So those are the guys that stick out in your memory then?
Right.
Okay. When did you decide to start driving?
When I was 13,
13 years old.
yes. My neighbor had an old 52 Ford station wagon, and so let's make a race car out of it. So we got some 4-inch well pipe, and we made a cage and went racing.
So your first stock car was a station wagon.
Right.
Okay. And do you know roughly what year about you started racing?
Well, it'll be 65.
Okay, mid-60s, somewhere around there. Okay. What all classes did you race throughout your racing career?
We had 6 owners, the supers, the mods, and the lights.
Okay, so you ran almost every class?
Right.
Okay. What kinds of cars did you race in your career? Like obviously your first one was a 52 Ford wagon, but then what other types of cars did you race?
I had a 57 Ford, 67 Pontiac Tempest, quite a few Camaros, and then get into the turbines and the, you know, the factory cars.
Yeah, you ran Pro Modifieds,
Right.
Cobra Modifieds.
Right.
So that you ran a lot of factory cars that you'd had to turn into race cars, and then you ran a lot of factory built chassis brands from chassis manufacturers. What did you seem to like one better than the other? Did you prefer the buy it complete car chassis, or did you like get a car out of the junkyard, build a roll cage type of
No,
race?
I like getting the factory cars.
A little less elbow grease involved.
Right.
Okay. I seen pictures of that Pontiac Tempest. That was one nice looking car. Now, was your number always 67 when you raced?
No, first cars were 3.2.
3.2 for the
I think it was the 3.2 beer.
the alcohol content
Right,
in the beer.
right.
Okay, so kind of a gag number.
Right.
But then eventually you went to 67. Why did you
Right.
pick 67?
Well, my mother totaled my 57 Ford out in Bemidji in a powder puff, and she felt bad, so she bought the 67 Pontiac Tempest from Dean Aquila that Lenny Pastelli had previously driven until he got killed, and then it was 67 Pontiac, so.
So you picked the number because of the year of that car.
Correct.
And then you stuck with that the rest of your career.
Right.
Who were some of your toughest competitors that you had to race against when you were a racer?
Well, you got Bob Duarte, you got Gim Don Oz, Bob Reed, the Vessels, Brad Hansen.
Yeah.
There's
So
many of them. The Duluth cars, Dick Chrisman, and
So some of those guys that you actually raced against were guys that you looked up to when you were sitting in the stands watching racing then? Like Don Oz and stuff.
Yeah,
So that's kinda-
he's a lot older than I am.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat to be able to race against some of the people that you grew
Right.
up watching. What type of racer do you feel you were?
Aggressive.
You were more of an aggressive racer? You didn't like second place?
No.
Or?
No. If I started in the back, I wanted to win.
You were there to win, huh? Okay. Sometimes being an aggressive driver can make it a little tough on the pit crew, you know, the sheet
Yeah.
metal and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I guess that's the price you pay if you want to be fast, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, not only did you race your own cars for many years, but you were also a hired gun for
Right.
several people. So you drove as a contract driver for a lot of people. Who are some of the people that you can remember driving cars for?
Oh, Pat Roddy and Pete Scalise, Danny Claudio, Mike Modich, Pete Olet.
I know you ran the super stock for Richie All for a little bit,
Right,
and also you ran a few races for John Carpenter. Is that true?
right,
Okay. You were very close with Dan Claudio, though.
very close.
He was like your best buddy, almost a brother to you.
Right,
You guys are both from Kelly or
Buckley.
Buck Lake. What type of guy was Dan Claudio?
Dan was a lot of fun. He worked hard on his car, and he just seemed like he couldn't get it to go around the track that good, but I'd get in it and win. And but
So you guys made a pretty good team.
right,
Good friends, but
Right.
also a good team.
right.
Yeah, I remember Danny was a great guy. All right, well, this concludes part one of our interview with Loran Tardy. Please stay tuned for part two.